Hi everybody, Coach Max here. Always a pleasure to do those videos in order or in the hopes of inspiring you and guiding you in your own life journey. It's mid-January, we're coming out of the holiday period, and it's always fun for me to go into this season and observing myself and also others and their own dynamics and how they interact with people, oftentimes with friends and family. And as you know, sometimes, we might be sitting around a table and somebody will come up with an old story or we'll start talking about something that we're not quite keen to. We'll rehash stuff, and that can stir up some stuff inside of us. And we become our worst enemy in those moments. I'd like to talk about that today because, yes, it happened, and I observed a few things for myself during the holidays. But seriously, we face this every day, right? You come up from work, you're a little bit tired, your spouse says something that, you don't expect, and you flipped. Or your kid throws a tantrum, or your mom calls you and she's a little bit, under the weather, or she doesn't feel okay, and that hits your stuff also. And whatever it is, all day, every day, we get stimulus coming at us, and we tend to react to them or to the people that, spark something within us. So we become our worst own enemy, and that happens every day, also in this, holiday season. But really, when I think about what I've observed for myself during holidays, what clearly stands out is that when we argue with someone or we're triggered by someone, and we end up in this almost fist fight, mental fist fight with the other. It seems from our point of view, the one who's living it, and even from the outside point of view, that there are two people fighting, or that you're fighting with someone. But in reality, you're not fighting with anybody. You're not fighting with anybody, excuse me. You're fighting with yourself. That comment that you didn't like, that, thing that made you think of your childhood, or something that you dislike, or whatever that might be, has nothing to do with the other person but you. And that's the short version. But let's get into something real here so that we put, an actual situation and words around it. Someone says something that you don't appreciate. You reply back. And that comment is not well taken by the other party. Or even simpler than that, you say something because from your own lenses, it doesn't seem appropriate, or it's your own opinion, or whatnot, and the person you say that to doesn't take it well. And now they hold a grief against you, and the whole show starts, right? Where you're going to start bickering, you're going to start arguing, somebody takes offense, stonewalls, sit back, starts ruminating about the comment, probably comes at you with a sting, tries to make you pay back. You don't like what you you receive as a little sting. You're gonna go ahead and do your own comment to sting back, and that's the fist. That's the fist fight. That's the fighting that I was talking about earlier. All of a sudden, you end up in this squeeze where you argue, you fight, you take offense, you roll your eyes, you shut down, you stonewall, and I could go on, right? There's multiple scenarios that could happen in this situation. At the end of the day, when you do that, you're not fighting the other, you're fighting yourself. What are you fighting? You're fighting your own biases, you're fighting your own programs, you're fighting your mind, you're fighting your emotions that are coming up inside. You know, that's what's happening for you. You don't like how the other person is reacting or just behaving, and you judge it. And meanwhile, you're judging it, you're pointing the finger. Well, you forget about the fact that there's 3 fingers pointing at you. It starts in the mind, it gets up in the emotions, or sometimes it's vice versa. You feel something, it gets up to your mind, you start judging, and then they play together. Because you fuse with those feelings, you fuse with those thoughts that are typically negative. And you're not conscious of the moment anymore. You're just in it, fusing with it, and you're ruminating, you're acting out, and you're playing your stuff out. Basically, that's what you're doing. And I'm here to remind you, well, you're not fighting anybody other than yourself when you do this. So it takes a big dose of consciousness or awareness to see it from a different perspective and not get caught up in it, right? It takes practice. We're not going to master that just by here talking about it. You're going to have to practice this and be very aware of those situations and when they come up and why. And probably you're going to have to do some self-analysis as far as, are there patterns here for me? Are there themes that are making me uncomfortable and reacting in those circumstances? And yes, they are. I can assure you it's coming from somewhere. But you got 2 choices. You can either start to play with this and super analyze it, or you can decide to be aware of it and let go and choose a different path. I'm not saying one path is better than the other. I think there's good in having a understanding of where that might be coming from. But if you only spend your time there and analyzing and figuring out and trying to solve something with the problem that made it in the first place, your mind, well, you're not going to go anywhere. So awareness and consciousness is really the key here. And I'm also going to say you're not going to solve it like this. It's going to take practice. But when you get into this situation next time where you're troubled inside because of somebody's behavior or action or words or whatever that might be, before fusing with your thoughts and emotions and getting caught up in this, what I call a vicious cycle, just stop for a second. Stop, and then a couple things you can do from there on. You can use a few tools that you might have in your quiver to, get over it. Mantra, positive affirmation. If you are strong enough and feel up to it, you can use your own mind to also, debunk it and course correct, let's say. Because yes, you can do that. You have a very powerful mind. Or you can relax and let go. That might seem very simple, but the more you go deeper in your own spiritual path, life path, call it whatever you want, and you start to deal with those things to free yourself, to be a little bit more happier, to be a little bit more joyful, you're going to find out that letting go and relaxing is a very powerful tool. But here it is. I just gave you a few options that you can tackle. But I'm not this type of coach or teacher that will, give you those tools. There are a bunch of other people out there that can give that to you. I'm the one that wants to have these chats really to bring into your consciousness the fact that you're a beautiful being. And you know how to deal with these things if you don't get in your own way. I say it all the time, we are our own worst enemy. And when you react to somebody's sleeky comment or behavior, it's just ringing a chord within you of something that you haven't dealt with yet. And when you start letting go of that, when you start to heal yourself from those reactions and patterns and conditionings and pain that you have or obstacles that you have, that's where you can start to just let go and not get caught up in this shit. Sorry. Because that's what it feels like at the end of the day, right? We get caught up in it, and then we start ruminating, and then we stonewall, we block, we feel bad inside because we're blocking our energy. And sometimes you'll even feel it in your body. You'll have a knot in your heart, or you'll start having migraines, or you just feel good in your stomach because you're not letting go of the stuff that you have to deal with. In your reality, to be honest, that person or situation is a gift, is an opportunity for you to deal with what you stored inside, right? Like, I don't know. You don't like sleeky comments because it reminds you of what your brother used to tell you when you were growing up and he was bullying you, right? It triggers something within you. And now you're, 45 years old and somebody gives you a sleeky comment and you can't handle it because of that. Come on, it's been 30 years, let it go. That's the truth. I know I'm being a little bit harsh here today, but that's what it's coming down to at the end of the day. Can I just be okay with the fact that in my own process, in my own path, people, things are gonna spark something within me that's not cool, that's not fun, that's not comfortable. I don't like it. I'm tempted to, reply back, say something, do something, and yet I gotta pause. I gotta take a step back, take a break, and process it differently. I think it was Gandhi who said, an eye for an eye will only make the world go blind. Yeah, if you don't like what you hear or what has been done unto you, if you do the same thing, how virtuous is that? How better are we living the world or the day or the moment if we do this? You're your worst own enemy, but you don't have to be. So when you face those situations where you feel uncomfortable, and that's where I'm going to end up this chat. When you feel a situation that doesn't feel comfortable, here or here, and your immediate reaction seems to be saying something or acting in a certain way, I implore you, take a breather, take a step back. Maybe one breath will cut it for you. Or other tools, like I mentioned before, mantra, positive thinking, whatever that might be. Take a breather, take a breath, take a step back. Try to see it from above. I think the Stoics used to call it actually the view from above. You're like a spectator of the whole of your own show. You don't want to be an actor at this point. You want to be looking at it from the mezzanine, okay? And then you get to choose what you're going to do with this. Sometimes nothing is a good option. Other times you'll have a different path, a different decision, a different action to do, and that's also okay. As long as it's coming from a still mind, a pure heart, you're in good hands. That's my message for today. I hope it resonates. If it does, most likely it will. We all go through this. Know that I have many more videos on the subject. I'm also always open to chat and exchange. I'll put a few links in the box below so you can reach out. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help. I'm the coach, soul doctor. Some call me, whatever that might be. If I can assist you and help you in your own path of freeing yourself, getting a little bit more joyful, a little bit more happy, connecting with more inner peace, freedom, abundance. That's perfect. That's what I'm here for. That's what is bringing me most aliveness and passion, among other things. So don't hesitate, reach out. Until then, be your friend, my friends. Have compassion, be the spectator, and don't get caught up in your own stuff. All right. Thank you. Cheers. Talk soon.